Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
Auto Detailing Podcast listeners, have you been thinking about starting your very own mobile auto detailing business? About stepping out and living your dream as a full-time auto detailer, but paralyzed by the fear of failure? Paralyzed that you're going to make the wrong purchasing decisions? I've developed an online training course for people just like you. The Mobile Auto Detailing Academy is an online training course that you could take at your own pace, and we teach you everything you need to know so you can kiss fear goodbye. And not only do you get the training modules, but you also get access to our private Facebook mastermind group of other Academy members where you can ask as many questions as you want and get feedback immediately. Head on over to mobileautodetailingacademy.com and enter in promo code podcast for your special offer.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 146 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Today on the show, we have Kyle Clark from Xtreme Detailing in Fontana, California, to talk all about RV detailing. And Kyle, I'm excited. We got to meet and talk a little bit at SEMA last year, but I'm really excited to kind of take the role as a listener and find out more about you and all things. And then definitely talking about RV detailing, as we just talked a little bit about before we started recording, just all aspects of RV detailing. So welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Jimbo. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun talking with you at SEMA 2014. We hung out at the Sonex booth a little bit.
That was fun.
And chatted about some new products and polishers and what you're using and what I'm using. And I enjoy talking with other detailers that are really professional. It's a lot of fun.
It is fun, and it's fun to talk product, and especially in person. Sometimes there's so much online activity that it's actually nice to sit face to face with someone.
Yeah, it's fun because like you get to talk to people face to face, and there's none of the social media drama,
right,
of which product is better, which is not, because we actually get to like, hey, what did you do for this, or I have this car, this kind of paint.
Exactly.
And yeah, I like talking face to face. It's more honest.
Or I had this kind of RV.
Yeah, this kind of RV. Yeah, I've been doing RVs a long time. I officially started Xtreme Detailing when I was kind of the summer of 1998. I was like 13 going on 14.
Wow.
When I got my first polisher. I was just going into high school, and but previously before that, I mean, I've been taking care of my family's car since I was young, 10 years old, washing grandma and grandpa's car. They'd bring it over, handle waxing my parents' old Winnebago with face wax when I was a kid. That was fun.
Sounds horrible.
So, yeah, I guess being in the Inland Empire area where we have a lot of RVs because people go out to the dunes, and they have a lot of the toy hauler scene, and everybody seems to go camping because we live in this beautiful weather in California. I get a lot of calls for RVs.
Yeah, I was going to say, for people not familiar with kind of the Southern California, or more specifically where you're at in Southern California, you're kind of the gateway to a lot of destinations, right? So the river,
yeah.
You're kind of on the way out there, and you're by a lot of boat and RV storage places too, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there are tons of RV indoor and outdoor storage facilities, and a lot of people will either they leave them sitting on the asphalt or out in the open on the side of their houses, because we're not. I'm removed from LA. I'm probably about an hour from you, hour and a half maybe. You're out in Seal Beach, right?
Yeah.
And San Diego is a couple hours away. I'm kind of in smack dab at the intersection of Southern California.
Yeah.
And we have the mountains, we have the beach, we have the desert. You can go surfing, you can go skiing, snowboarding, and you can go ride your dune buggy all on the same day if you wanted. because we're so close to everything. But it seems that everybody has these RVs, and they're out of sight, out of mind, until they start looking at them. You know, the customer will look at it and say, man, it's oxidized. And by that time, sometimes it's past the point of a wash and wax. It's more for a restoration time.
So before we get into all that, let's kind of close the gap between you being, 10 to 14 years old, doing the family vehicles, and then to where you are today. So when did you realize, like, oh man, this is what I want to do as a business, this is a viable business, and then kind of how did that progress?
Well, I didn't know it was a viable business for many years till after I started it. I had a love for it, and actually, I did a few friends' cars, friends of my parents. And my dad was actually a police officer for Fontana Police Department, which the department was about a mile away from my house. And so what I would do when I was growing up, I had these different police officers and secretaries. They would ask me to detail their car. Well, obviously, I can't drive when I was 13, 14. So during the summertime, I'd have my mom drive me over to the police department. We had to go in, meet with the customer, and then I'd bring the car keys out. My mom would drive the car home. I would spend all day detailing it, and then she would come and inspect all my work, check the door jambs, make sure there's no streaks on the windows, and then we'd take it back, and I'd get paid, and then we'd drive the car home. And that's what I did for years on my summers until I got my driver's license. And I was able to drive people's cars home from City Hall and from the police department. And that's where it all started, doing people's cars and then their friends. And I did that for a long time, all throughout high school. I'd go pick up the car after school, do a wash and wax or an interior detail, something I could do in those 3 or 4 hours after school, and then take it back, and I made good money. I made all cash because I was a kid, and I always had money, and I just would always invest the money back into my business. Actually, some people, my friends thought I was crazy. When all my friends from high school were getting stereo systems or, parties for their graduation gifts from family or friends, I wanted a carpet extractor. So I went out, and my dad gave me, for all my friends were getting thousands and thousands of dollars. My parents helped me buy a carpet extractor for my graduation when I was 17.
That's awesome, and I love that. I was actually
still have that extractor too.
That's awesome. I was just talking to my dad yesterday about my sisters who work at In-N-Out. And my dad was saying, yeah, they make really good money. And I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, but if you work for yourself, you can make a lot more money, and I didn't work for myself during high school, but kind of to touch on your story, working for yourself during high school, you can make more in those 2 to 3 hours after school doing a wash and a wax on a car than, I did working 6-8 hours after school, and and it's cash, like you said, which helps.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I see all these young detailers today starting out, and sometimes some guys get frustrated with they're not charging enough. But I've been there,
right.
And I know, so I like to encourage them. I've been I don't do it as much anymore. I don't go to the detail supply stores as much because I can buy it online, but and get a better discount.
Mm-hmm.
But when I did go years ago, and I see these guys, I'm like, hey, what are you charging? And they tell me, and I'm like, hey, raise your price up a little bit, man. You're worth it. You're doing good work.
Right.
And when I was trying to encourage them to raise up their prices. So, anyways, I detailed for many, many years. When I was 21, back in about 2005, I left on a mission for my church for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back, and in 2007, I started up Xtreme Detailing again. And I picked up most of my old customers. But when I started back up, I started with, packages and a different price point. The price was obviously significantly more for my detailing. And I did that for, ever since.
Wow.
So,
and you have a trailer set up. Just curious, why the trailer versus a fixed location, or why a trailer even versus a van?
Well, I'm a truck guy. I like having a truck, and I like the fact that I can put ladders and scaffolding and all the big stuff I need for a job for the day when I do an RV, or say I do a big boat. And then I can take it out, and I don't have to have it in there. At the time, I know you have a nice big Sprinter van now, but the Sprinters weren't so popular when I bought my truck.
Right.
And you can't really fit all those big scaffolding with a 200-gallon tank and all the things I need in an Astrovan or a Econoline.
Right.
So that's why I have a truck and trailer. Plus, I can disconnect it.
Yes.
I like to go out to the desert. I have a quad and a razor, and for me and my family, I'm married. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I'm expecting another daughter in a few months.
Hey, congratulations!
Thank you.
I got two myself.
You got two?
Yeah. Well, I got a 2.5-year-old and a 4-month-old.
And, cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's fun. A boy and a girl, but it's a lot of work, man.
We were hoping for a boy, but
hey, you can always try
God
again.
chose to give me 2 girls, and we're going to have 2 girls.
There you go.
I like to take. We have a little toy hauler. We like to go out there, so that's why I have the truck and trailer set up.
Nice.
Also, I'm not in tight quarters like you are down in the beach areas and LA. Out in the Inland Empire, we have a little bit more land. I really never had a problem, backing my truck and trailer up. Sometimes if I work in a condo or an apartment complex, I'll have to disconnect it. But I don't know. I like that I can go and do things with my truck and my truck, has some advertisement on it, so it is a business vehicle, and that's just how I've always done it.
Yeah.
I like your van. I saw your new van, and I was like, man, I want to get a van one day, but I'm also working towards a shop. And that's my goal. I actually have a lot of customers that bring their vehicles to my home. I have my garage set up as a detail shop, and it's not for like the wash and wax stuff.
Right.
I only bring paint corrections and coatings to my home.
Right.
And I do that 3 to 5 times a month. So I have a couple cars in, once a week I'll have a car or 2 in, and I'll polish on it, and then it can cure overnight, and I can control the environment that way. But I'm also trying to prove myself that I can sustain a shop in my market before I make that leap into a lease,
Yeah, there's so much stuff I want to touch on there. I started with the truck and trailer, and I loved the fact that I could drop my trailer at night and still have my truck. And I loved, my truck was also not a personal vehicle, but it was a work vehicle, and it was like my tester buddy, that I could try everything out on. And then I, like you said, just dealing with traffic and dealing with a lot of confined spaces. I really liked the trailer because it taught me a valuable life skill as to how to tow a trailer and what to do when you get into some sticky situations with a trailer, which a lot of people are intimidated by. So I like that. And then when I upgraded to the Chevy Express, it was horrible. I hated that. I hated that thing. It was nice enough almost to be a detailing rig, but it was used, and the paint kind of sucked on it, and I hated that thing, and now with the Sprinter, I really like it, and I don't have too much advertising on it right now, because I'm trying to find that balance between a personal vehicle and a work vehicle all in the same thing. So, but again, it was either I was looking at a shop too, And I'm like, well, I need to do something. I had like this ghetto van, I feel like. And I'm like, either need to do a shop or a better van or a better mobile setup, and for now I kind of opted for the better mobile setup. But like you said, especially what's that?
And it's nice that you can travel in the carpool lane. I can't towing a trailer.
Exactly. Or even that's kind of, so there was two issues why I wanted to get out of the trailer. Was I was parking the trailer at my parents' house, so I had to, on my way, when I was done with work for the day, I had to drop off the trailer, and then I'd pick it up back in the morning. Well, I like to talk, if you can't tell. And so me dropping the trailer off wasn't just me dropping the trailer off. It was me dropping the trailer off, coming in the house, hanging out for a little bit, maybe grabbing some food. So it was like this event to like drop the trailer off and pick it up every day, So, and yeah, I had to hang out in the too slow lane. So that isn't fun sometimes.
Yeah, I do all the Inland Empire area, and towing a trailer around. You're not supposed to travel in the third lane, and going up the Carrollton Pass one time, I had to go around a very slow semi-truck, come back around, and CHP got me because I was a trailer, and I went into the lane for literally not even a mile just to get around this truck, and it was a nice ticket, but that's when I wish I had a van. But I also like that because I do such large projects with RVs and boats, I have a couple guys that work for me on the side, and so having a truck, I can take two guys with me. Versus a van, you have to add that third seat in the back, or I've even heard of some guys very dangerously sitting on a bucket in the middle, and it's just not cool with me. So it's nice that I can drop the trailer off. I can go pick up my daughter from daycare. Or I can go do whatever I need to do.
Or if you're sick, your guys can pick up the trailer if they know how to tow it, and you don't have all the. I looked at getting another van to kind of grow my operation, and I'm like, man, by the time you talk about gas and all the liability with someone else driving your own van, it's like it's not even worth it.
Well, I do have a second setup. I have a Toyota Tacoma that I've had since 2003. It was my truck right after I graduated high school. And it has a 100-gallon tank, has a pressure washer, has everything that my guys need to go do a basic wash or a detail. And so, this Saturday I'm not available to go take care of one of my accounts. My guys are going to go and wash a small fleet of trucks for me and do one or two details. And that way, that truck doesn't get used every week.
Right.
But I have it as an option. It's paid for because I've owned it since I was a kid. And it's clean. It has everything it needs. So I do have a second rig, which makes it nice.
That's what you call a cash cow.
It is a cash cow. It's not the full arsenal like I call my trailer, because when doing an RV, and we'll probably get in this a little bit later, one product does not work for every RV. Just like one product, sometimes you have to manipulate to work on all vehicles. So when I say I have the full arsenal on my trailer, I have a good mix of many large brands out there to test on customers' cars or RVs. Now, the Tacoma doesn't have that. It has just the basics. But that's all it needs. And if I need something extra, I tell the guys, hey, open up the trailer, make sure you grab the extractor. This time you need the extractor, not just the steamer, or make sure you grab this all-purpose cleaner or whatever I need for that customer. And it's nice to have something to make you money when you're out enjoying time with your family.
There you go. That's what it's all about. So, all right, let's transition then into RV detailing specifically. Okay. So, as we talked about before we recorded, and even a little bit now, you have extensive experience with RV detailing, and so I think it's something that doesn't get talked about a lot. Let's start with like kind of the basics of, let's say someone's looking at getting into RV detailing. What are maybe some basic things that they need to understand and know before they even start getting into it?
Don't be intimidated by them. They are big. You will spend a lot of time on them. But it's just like a car. They need soap and water. Now, I have tried this, and it doesn't work very well. And one of my friends who's eco-friendly, it's very difficult to wash an RV eco-friendly.
I was
because of the
going
roof.
to ask you that. Yes, love it. Keep going.
The roof always gets dirt. It gets sap. They're usually rubber. Sometimes they're fiberglass. It's a rubber membrane. And so a soap, regular soap is what you need to clean the gutters, to clean the roof. Sometimes you get some mold on the roofs because of moisture. And so you could probably get away with washing the roof off and doing that, and then doing your eco-friendly wash, your waterless wash. But and that would work on some painted RVs. But when it deals with the gel coat or the fiberglass RVs, they want some soap and water. And you will see the oxidation on the ground when you're done washing them because it bleeds off. And I have some, I'll say, my trade secret wash that I use, a mixture of products to release some of that oxidation before I would do a polish on them. But it's really important to wash them just like a car.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, so let's... So an RV wash, you're gonna basically do it the same as you would a car. It's just a bigger surface. Yeah. Okay.
When you're detailing a car, you're going to take your detail brush and you're going to clean the emblems, you're going to clean the cowl, around the mirrors and the windows. The same thing with an RV is I'll take a little bit stiffer of a brush because there's caulking, and we'll clean the caulking. If it's a detail, I'm not doing that on my basic wash. Basic wash for me is soap and water rinsed. We clean the windows, we dress the tires, and depending on your market, the price is going to vary.
So give us a ballpark price on that.
My price, typically I charge around $100 for an RV wash and then up. Okay. Just depends on the size. But that's my basic wash.
Okay.
Some guys are going to charge by the foot, $2 per foot. I've heard of some markets being $5 or $6 per foot for a wash, and that's great if you can get that. I tend to be about between $100 to $130 for a basic wash, including the roof. And with me and my helper, we can get that done in about half an hour and be out of there. I don't dry them because I use spot-free water. That's my upgraded wash. If a customer wants more of a gentle wash with, I'll foam it, or we'll use the lamb's wool brush heads. We'll blow dry it with my master blaster, to be as gentle as possible. That's for the customer that has those $1 million coaches or higher, or those really high-end paint jobs.
So just to clarify real quick, sorry to jump in, on your basic wash, you're rinsing it, soaping it, rinsing it, and leaving it. So you'll leave the coach wet.
I will dry the windows and some of the major drip areas.
But like you said, you use spot-free water too.
Yeah, I'm using spot-free, so I'm not going to... it is the basic level, and I let people know that it will dry itself. We're not going to sit there and wipe wipe everything dry. For that, that's why I have my upgraded service, because I want to sell the $200 wash where we would do, the more gentle. We're going to blow dry every crack, the caulking, the windows. We want to sell that one.
Okay.
So that's why I have the basic level to get customers to want more.
Okay, so you have the basic, then you have the upgraded wash.
It's a gentle foam wash, yeah.
Gentle foam wash, okay.
Now, there's so many different kind of RVs. We have travel trailers, we have toy haulers, fifth wheels, we have Class A's, Class C's, even Class B's, and all the finishes are... there are way more finishes on RVs than there are on cars, I believe, sometimes, because there are so many RV manufacturers that use gel coat, they'll use fiberglass, they'll use the aluminum coated. You usually see those corrugated, the wavy side RVs. It's super thin. I mean, very thin. And
so hard to clean.
so hard to clean. You can't use chemicals on them. You can't really buff on them. You will burn through them really quickly. It's literally, some of them are less than a mil of coating, and it's not even a paint, really.
Wow.
So there's a lot to different finishes. So I recommend testing. If you're going to get into RV detailing, do your test spots. Figure out which product is working best. Whether it's a one-step cleaner wax, which can vary from any brand out there. There's tons. Mm-hmm. I started detailing using Mark V products. That's back to my beginning. I had a friend who, when I found out I was detailing, he said, "Hey, I got this guy that delivers products to my dealership." I met my supplier, and I started using their products, and their cleaner wax worked really well for me on a lot of RVs for many years. But as you progress, you find other things, and so 3M has a great line, Wires has a great line, Sonex, and Zerna. I have so many different products I'll test on an RV because sometimes they love, sometimes these RVs love a little Benzerna on the front.
Right.
Yeah. But the sides, it won't love it. You have to switch to a different product. So
that's so frustrating.
You got to be like a doctor,
Right.
It is frustrating. And one product sometimes won't work on the side of the RV that gets a lot of sun. When you switch over to the other side, it'll look cloudy. It doesn't give you the same results. And some RVs love foam. Some RVs love wool. Some RVs love microfiber pads. And it's up to you to find out which combination works for that RV. And it will even vary. I'll swear to this. I did a customer, him and his dad bought identical fifth wheels. And they kept them at the same storage jar. I tried the same product on one. It worked great. I went to the next RV because I did them together. It didn't work. It looked cloudy. And I'm like, when did they make them in a different day? Is it a different gel coat? Something. So what works for one RV, and this also goes for boats sometimes too, and cars.
Right.
Won't work on every RV out there.
Right.
You have to be diagnose the patient.
That's what we talked about at SEMA. Was we were just kind of talking to each other about that. Is just like you have to have like this full arsenal because you never know what you're going to need. Yeah, and
there's some detailers out there. I listened to your interview the other day with the owner of Shine Supply, and he said that he manipulates the product to work for the vehicle, and that's exactly right. You can make any product work. He's exactly right. You could be strictly with Meguiar's or strictly with Sonex or Benzerna, whatever your favorite product is. But for speed and time, for me, is more important than trying to manipulate something. I'll just move on to what works.
Right.
Because they're so big, you just don't have the time to spend there to test for hours.
Right. Right. Okay.
And let's talk about polishers for a second. Some RVs love the forced rotation of the XC3401. Some of them love the Roops 21. Some of them, I've even gone back to Porter Cable because the throw just, worked right for it. It gave me, and playing with different speeds and pressures, it just gave me the right amount of polish to pull the oxidation off and apply a protectant.
Gosh.
So that's also something I found is pretty fun with RVs is, using different machines on them too. And I've never used a Cyclo on an RV, but I hear they're great machines. And so I've never had the opportunity to do that, and I make things work with what I have. But or sometimes you got to go old school and you got to brush up the rotary, and I enjoy that actually. I enjoy playing with my rotary. It's fun.
So I kind of want to talk about the polishing out or correcting an RV, and I guess those are obviously two different things. But The vast majority of RVs that I see are, I do have a couple clients with, the $500,000 RVs that are painted and they're not white. But the majority of the RVs that are white, and I'm simplifying it because I don't know what else to call it, but they're not white anymore. They're chalk. So
they're not always gel coat. They're not always just fiberglass, the chalky one, and now we're starting to notice more and more of those same finishes are gray or tan.
Right.
The manufacturers have kind of decided, well, let's make a little different tint to our gel coat, which is causing different issues when polishing because it oxidizes yellow on top of gray. And so it's kind of a fun way to figure that out. But getting back to your question, paint correction on an RV is done easily, like a car. It depends on the price of the RV. When I say that, I have a customer, the very popular Thor or Tiffin Allegro. It's on this new Ford V10 platform, and it's kind of that RV that's $100,000 to $150,000 with a paint job.
Yep.
Nice RVs. Now, if you rub your finger across them, you'll notice they don't clear coat over all the layers of paint like they would on, say, a $2 million Marathon or pre-lost, up to the $5 million RVs, where they do just an amazing paint job, where there's 10 coats of clear, and they're, a beautiful. These newer RVs that are a little bit more affordable to these customers, usually they paint the stripes over the other stripes. So be careful doing paint correction on them because you can't tell which stripe sometimes is under which stripe. If you could go through it. It's not very thick. And also, you noticed, I have a paint measurement gauge, and it measures, aluminum and steel. I don't have one for fiberglass or carbon. But I would swear that if you do measure those RVs, they're not going to be a thick paint job,
So you're saying the stripes can be higher than? Can the stripes be higher than the
actual base?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can be polishing on the base and not realizing that you're burning through the stripe.
Well, you can look at the color. If the RV, say I have a customer that just bought a new Winnebago, and it's tan. But when you rub your finger across it, you can feel a step up.
Yeah.
When there's a blue stripe.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So if you're correcting that blue stripe, it's really difficult to know how thick that paint is. Jeez. So you got to be really careful and be very careful doing the correction. Is it possible? Yes, you can definitely correct them. To what level? You and the customer are going to have to work that out. If he's going or the customer's going for perfection, you're going to need to make sure that you charge enough that you can spend the time to be very careful in your correction. It's not like and I've done a few multi-million-dollar coaches before, some marathons and some pre-loss. Those have tons of clear coat. Those you can go to town with, rotary and wool and finish it all the way out to a beautiful, perfect shine. These entry-level painted RVs that need correction, and they do, because they come straight from the dealership with washing marks in them. Yeah. Unlike any car you've ever seen, you can see the brush marks. They definitely need help. But you got to be careful.
My father-in-law just bought a used RV. It only has 9,000 miles on it, and he got it used, and I think it was around the $50,000 range. But it's not white; it's like gray or something like that. And I haven't pointed it out to him yet because I don't want to do it. But it has the worst swirls I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't listen to this.
You know what I found interesting is and I call them affordable or entry-level RVs to these with paint, is those customers typically don't want to spend the money to correct these issues because they're making payments on these RVs, unlike these multi-million-dollar coaches where they're okay to spend $2,500 or $3,000 for you to spend a few days compounding, polishing their RV. They don't want to spend that money on their $100,000 RV,
right?
But they want it to look like the flawless multi-million-dollar coach.
So what do you do?
So you got to communicate with the customer.
Okay.
You have to be realistic with them. You're going to see imperfections that you want to get out. The best thing you can do is, you have to, and I actually am talking about this right now. I'm writing another article for Detailers Digest. I just had one in it with the last issue, and I'm talking about pricing. You got to do your formula, whatever formula you use, whether it's the linear foot formula or the square foot. Figure out what you're going to charge the customer for a single-step polish, what you're going to charge them for a two-step or a three-step, and then do some test spots for the customer. Show the customer this is the results you can expect for this price, and get their seal of approval, and then go ahead and do the RV. Don't go and start doing the whole RV and then slap them with a bill, and they're not going to be happy with it. You want to make sure that they're happy with your results before you start spending time. Because RVs are big.
Yeah.
It'll take you a day or two or three to do a correction. And let's talk about, we talked about the painted RVs. What about the gel coat RVs? The even more basic entry-level RVs, the $25,000 to $80,000 gel coat RVs with stickers on the sides.
The worst. Stickers.
They are. And like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm talking about this in my latest article. Sometimes you have to price it at a price that you would feel comfortable spending time doing, or spending time on this RV, or you have to learn when to tell a customer you're going to kindly pass.
Right. Good point. Yeah, because they get. In my opinion, I have this weird thing where even if a car or a rig is in too bad a shape and the customer doesn't want to pay the price that it's going to take to make it look good, but they're expecting great, but they only want to pay for mediocre. It messes with my brain when I'm done with that job. Of going, man, in my eyes, it doesn't look that much different than if they would have got nothing done. But
exactly.
It's not my fault. It's just the rig sucks.
Yeah. And you're a perfectionist, obviously, like I am, and you love what you do. And so you want to give the customer the best bang for their buck. But you also got to remember, you run a business.
Right.
You're not working for free. You're not looking for their praise. You want to make sure that they're pleased, and sometimes you just have to say, sir or ma'am, this is not going to work out. We're not going to be a good fit, or your RV really needs this level of detail.
Right.
And I'll even say I'm not going to devalue my service, to be frugal.
Right.
Basically, it's a nice way of saying I'm not going to, do extra work because you're being cheap.
Right.
And I completely get it. I'm an RV owner. I have a small 24-foot toy hauler. I bought it used. It is the best it can possibly look because I bought it used. It has some faded stickers on the front. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky enough that I'm able to keep it at my in-laws. And they have kind of a covered area that I can keep it out of the sun majority of the day. But I can't buff on it because it's that thin aluminum corrugated sides. And I know it's thin because I've measured it with my thickness gauge. So only thing you can do on those situations, and this is another tip, is you can do multiple passes at a slow speed with a finishing pad. With more of a cleaner wax or a polish.
Okay.
And when you're doing it multiple times, then you're going to pull that oxidation off lightly.
Okay.
If you try and go to town on it and buff it out, you're going to burn those edges.
I love that tip because the the normal thinking says let's go most aggressive first and let's just go to town on it. But like you said, you're going to burn through it.
And also, you got to think a lot of these RVs like mine has faded stickers. Wax, compound, oxidation built up in your pad is not a good mix when you're dealing with stickers. If you touch that sticker, you will leave a little half spoon marked from your polisher, especially if you're using the polishers that have a 21 mil throw. It's difficult to keep them straight on some areas. And you don't want to do that. So you can either tape the sticker off to avoid, or, taping off or just cutting it in is the best bet. There are other things you can do, but those stickers can't be saved. They're just cheap vinyl,
Yeah. And I've had a couple like van conversion campers where they just get full sun for half the day and the person doesn't ever move them, and the stickers they actually start like, they like start shrinking, and the customer's like, well, can we save it? I'm like, you just go get it restickered. It's gonna look way better, So.
I've been playing with coatings for many years now. I think we discussed this on one of the forums the other day, and I have a coating on my parents' brand new RV they bought 2 years ago, and it's holding up really well. I put a few layers of it on the stickers, and the stickers still look great.
Wow!
So I'm hopeful that coatings will be more effective for RVs in the long run. It's difficult to sell a coating on an RV. I know guys have done it, and it's not going to be cheap because the amount of product you need and the time. But I'm hopeful that it'll save stickers and gel coat. Paint sealants work good on RVs, but you've probably seen them. You see these fifth wheels that have these big dome caps on the front.
Yep.
Those dome caps will oxidize much faster than the sides of the RV, mainly because they get either the morning or the evening sun, and they're also made of a different material than the sides are. So a coating on one of those, and that's what I'm testing it on my parents' RV. I'm testing the hope that it will protect it. And so far it's looking good. So
what's a base? You talked about one step, two step, or maybe even a 3-step. You don't have to give us your pricing, but what is a good starter point? And I guess it comes down to how much the person wants to make in a day. But can you give us a ballpark on maybe a starter cost of a 1, 2, or 3-step, and maybe how long each one of those would take?
Well, it's going to vary by market. Obviously, in the United States, we're going to have markets where, I have a friend down in Texas, and in his area, he makes a lot of money doing RVs, and I can't believe it. He makes more than I can here, in his wash. And so each market's going to vary. Typically, and you also have to define what you're calling a one-step. Are you calling a one-step a wash and a spray wax, which, in my area can vary from, I've seen people do it as low as $8 a foot. I've seen people do it for more around, I charge about $11 or $12 a foot for a wash and a spray protectant.
Okay.
Or are you talking about actually putting a polisher to the paint or to the gel coat?
Yeah, let's talk that.
Yeah, anywhere from $10 to $15 per linear foot is what I've heard from other competitors, where they're charging for like a one-step. Now that would be on a newer RV or an RV that's been well maintained, possibly kept inside, out of the sun, because it doesn't allow the oxidation to build up. When you're doing a one-step, oxidation builds up in your foam pad or whatever pad you're doing. So if you get that oxidation buildup, it can leave a kind of a chalky blotchiness on the RVs. So any oxidation, I tell a customer we're doing at least 2 steps.
Okay.
Any oxidation at all, it's going to be 2 steps. Because of the buildup, I want to knock the oxidation off with whatever I'm using, and then we'll go ahead and refine it and protect it with the cleaner wax or the the second step, or for maybe even spray wax it afterwards. Okay. So it just depends on the detailer and how they're doing it. I recommend, no matter what, having a formula. The formula for a detail on an RV is how you can justify your price to the customer. You can base your formula off the linear foot. You can base your cut off the linear foot times the height of the RV, because some RVs are only, like my toy hauler, it actually sits really low to the ground. It's only 9 feet high. But some RVs are 15 feet high.
Right.
When you get into doing these big RVs, especially when we've done a few RVs at the NASCAR race in Fontana, and we've done one in Vegas. And when you do those, they have the awnings that pop out. Well, those are painted too. They got to be polished and waxed. And that puts that RV at 15, 16 feet up in the air. So you got to have your formula, whatever you feel comfortable. Now, having said that, in my article that I'm writing right now, I'm talking about an opportunity cost. We kind of discussed this earlier.
Yeah.
You can go and you can do a detail on a car, do 2 or 3 cars in a day at your, some guys are going to charge $150, some guys are going to charge $300. It depends on whatever your detail is. Now, I found that guys have charged, on RVs, they can spend 8 to 10 hours detailing an RV and make, $200 or $300. And I'm like, it's not right when you're doing when you can go make that $200 or $300 doing 1 car or 2 cars in half the time.
Right.
So if you're going to do RVs, make sure that you're charging appropriate to your daily rate, whatever that may be, because at the end of the day, we're supporting our families. We're building a business. Don't go and sell yourself short. If people don't want to pay to have their RV done at your price, they'll find somebody that can do it cheaper, but not as good as you can.
Right.
Or they're going to pay for it because they're big, they're intimidating. So don't sell yourself short. Make sure that your opportunity cost is you go and do 3 or 4 cars, you're losing the opportunity. You're making money there. By doing an RV, you're making less money.
Mm-hmm.
And makes sense.
And on the flip side, you had mentioned earlier, I love that too, the opportunity cost. Don't sell yourself short. And on the flip side, if you could get a couple, obviously you're not going to be able to do a $2,000, $3,000 correction, every week. But if you could line up one of those a month, that's some good money, and it takes you, even if it took you all week, that's not bad money. You know what I mean? And
no.
And so on the flip side, I see a lot of potential here because of, you can almost take the same arguments that you just made and turn them around of, man, they're big, they're intimidating. Guys, the market is hot for cars, but RVs need love too. And I see it could be really good or really bad for guys.
Yeah, exactly. Most people that own RVs own nice cars too. So one of the reasons I do RVs is because, I have a customer, I've been detailing his RV for a while now, and he has a Lamborghini and a Ferrari. I've seen them. I've inspected them. They need some love. They need some correction.
Right.
But he's not ready to spend the money on it yet. But he absolutely loves how we go the extra mile and take care of his RV for him. And so doing this beautiful RV for him will lead into me, and he already mentioned that he wants them done. He's just waiting, and he's a contractor, so he's waiting until the next big job. That's what he tells me. But I know, and vice versa. I've had customers with beautiful high-end cars, and they're like, "You do RVs too?" "Oh, yeah, we do." "Oh, I got this RV." And so being a well-rounded detailer is beneficial. I do boats, I do jet skis, I do RVs, I'll do, I've done a few airplanes. I've never done a helicopter, just because there's not many around where I'm at. But, being well-rounded because otherwise your customer is going to find someone else that will do the RV.
Right. I was thinking it might be a good way to kind of position yourself to actually get more cars, because it may be easier to stand out as an RV detailer. And then, like you said, the people that have RVs obviously have cars.
Yeah.
So it might be a cool way for someone out there who's looking to break into their market as marketing themselves in that area as an RV detailer and getting really good at that, and then inevitably getting those clients' cars too. I don't know, kind of an idea for someone.
Yeah.
What about interior RV detailing? Do you do any of that?
I do. I'm really particular when it comes to interiors. I won't take on every interior job just because it is someone's personal living space.
Right.
Outside versus inside is a little different than a car because people sleep in these. People use the restroom in these. People eat in these. And so I do charge a little bit more for interiors because, one, I sell them on that we're going to sanitize and steam clean all the surfaces, and they love that. A lot of times I do interiors, and it's kind of interesting. Before someone buys a new RV, or if they just bought it and they want the interior clean because they want to get the feel of the previous owner out of their new RV.
Yep.
Or if they're going to sell their RV and they want it to look good so it can sell. Very rarely do I have customers that want me to detail their RV as just maintenance. I even have a couple customers that hire a maid service to come clean the interior of their RVs, which is fine with me because I'd rather do the outsides. But there's some good money-making opportunities for interiors. One, I ask the customers to remove all the screens and the window screens so that I can clean all the jams. And I'll clean the screens. You can clean the air conditioning vents. You can clean the restroom. The fridge. Our RV fridges are known to get mold and gross because they sit for long periods of time with the door closed. And so definitely profitable. Now, we just did a small RV a few weeks ago, about a 21-footer. It was kind of it was a Sprinter van front end, but with a small back. And so it was a Class C style. And we did the full exterior and the full interior in one day.
Okay.
Which is definitely possible with you and a helper, or two, because you can stick one guy inside cleaning and the other guy can be out with you polishing. If you're going to do an interior and an exterior on an RV, anything larger than 20 feet or 25 feet possibly, you're going to need to spend the next day.
Okay.
You're going to spread them out. You're not going to do a polish on an RV with you and one guy and do the interior. You're going to be worn out by the end of the day. Doing the polishing, holding a polisher over your head for hours on end will wear you out. So plan that if you sell a customer on the interior and exterior, and if they are the full-blown, package, then you're going to spend a lot of time on it. Also, rubber roofs are a good, sales tool. These rubber roofs dry out over time. So I also offer a rubber roof treatment, and I also offer rubber roof coatings to, re-roll the rubber roof out. It's very expensive for an owner of an RV to have the rubber membrane replaced.
Right.
Because they actually remove the entire roof of the RV, basically, re-roll it out, cut it, trim it, put it all back together. And you're talking anywhere from $3,000 to, maybe $10,000, depending on the RV, to do that kind of work. So selling someone it's just as important to protect your roof as it is to protect the sides. Is something different than a car. Everybody knows you have paint on a roof, it needs to be waxed.
Right.
But not everybody knows the roof on an RV needs to be maintained as well.
Okay, so where are you getting this, the coating or the sealer for the roof?
I buy it from RV Supplier.
Okay.
It's a conditioner and a cleaner and then a protectant.
Wow.
It's an easy way to make a couple extra dollars per foot.
Yeah. That's
now,
a great
on
idea.
the coatings, the re-rolling or repainting of an RV roof, it's pretty pricey. There are a lot of companies, like RV repair companies, that will come out and do it, and they charge a lot of money to do it.
Right.
So, not a cheap product, but definitely a great upsell.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of money to be made with RVs, and I think people, because they are so big and because they're a bigger investment sometimes, or a lot of the times, they're willing to spend a little bit more on it. And then stuff like you said, like the interior cleaning, the interior sanitizing, odor removal for RVs is big money. I got $350 one time to go do an odor removal for an RV.
Nice. Yeah.
And that was cool because I just set up a machine.
Yeah. You just let the machine do the work. You just, wipe it down or...
Exactly. Well,
I will say with RVs, and this is not, this is more of a little bit of guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were talking about prices earlier, I once had a lady call me and tell me that her son-in-law was doing RV detailing, and he was, I don't know where he was, out in Arizona somewhere, and how he was killing it. And this is a story to help someone, not to talk badly, and that's why I'll be vague.
Right.
She was telling me about the prices he was charging to remove stickers on an RV, which is very difficult, very time-consuming, and make sure you charge a good hourly rate if anybody's going to do that. And then she was telling me how much he was charging to detail the exterior and how many days it took him. After she broke it down and I started running the numbers in my head, it turned out that this young man was, working for pennies. I mean, he was making maybe $10 an hour after supplies and spending days and days and days doing an RV. So make sure that you guys out there that are going to be detailing RVs, this benefits all of us. Make sure you stick to your prices and charge what you're worth.
And know your numbers.
Know your numbers. Your last podcast was great on that. How much product are you spending? How much gas are you, because some of these RVs are a long drive. How much time are you there, or how much you paying your employee? Don't be doing RVs for $10 an hour.
Right.
Your business will never grow.
Yeah. And why? It's too much work for that.
They are too much work for that. Go wash cars. You'll make more money washing cars, and you'll be happier. You won't be covered in compound. You won't be sunburnt.
Yep.
You remember, we're in California and the guys are all over. You're out in the sun doing this. Usually you can put a canopy over a car. You can't put a canopy over these RVs.
Right.
An easy up won't fit.
Even the biggest one.
Yeah. So, as just a good rule of advice, and I really like how our industry has gone in the last few years. We've all become there's been some drama, but a lot of guys have been supporting each other more and more, and I love to see it.
Yeah.
Because our industry, and this is why I joined the IDA, is because as an industry, we are becoming a trade.
Yep.
And as we stick together, like a mechanic has an hourly rate, a body shop has an hourly rate, detailing is getting there. And I'm excited for the future of detailing. And so I want to see people becoming more legitimate.
Yep.
Business license, insurance, training, membership of IDA, all these types of things are going to benefit us all because it will bring us up and we'll all be able to support our families. Like the few detailers out there are. There are guys who actually are really supporting their families and are making a true living doing detailing, which years ago was unheard of.
Right.
So
it's
refreshing.
Really cool. Together we grow. That's part of the vision behind this podcast is, just banding together and actually making a living and supporting each other and sharing ideas and all that. So really appreciate you coming on and sharing your tips and tricks and advice from years and years of RV detailing. If people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that? Or if they're in the Fontana area and they got an RV, how can they get it done?
RVs, coats, or cars, boats, trucks, SUVs, any of that.
Yeah, anything.
We do it all. My website is, when I was young, when I was a kid, I thought I was cool, and so I decided to make my name Xtreme Detailing, not with an E, but with an X. Then later on in life, I realized that every time I tell someone my email address, I have to spell it out to them because they all think it starts with an E. So my website is Xtreme Detailing, Xtreme Detailing 909 Xtreme Detailing 909.com. 909 because it's my area code. And my phone number is 909-208-3308. I live in the Fontana area, but I service the whole Inland Empire, mainly Rancho Cucamonga, pretty much all of that to Glendora, and then out to Yucaipa, Redlands area. Occasionally we get down in the Corona area, but I try and stick in my area, keeping it tight so I'm not traveling between appointments for hours. I think that's important. And thank you very much, Bo. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and explain a few things. I'm by no means the RV expert in anything, but I've done a lot, and hopefully this has helped a few guys out there figure out how to do an RV, or maybe give them some ideas so they make a little bit more money.
Absolutely.
To support their lifestyle.
Absolutely. And an expert is just knowing a little bit more than someone else. So today I think you're the expert.
I appreciate it. I do.
And kudos to you, man, for killing it out in the Fontana area. It gets hot out there. Hot.
It is hot out there. You know what? We had some nice weather lately. And I got to throw out a shout-out to my mentor, Rennie Doyle. I am a member of the Detail Mafia. He's been a great mentor to me. We actually grew up, and he's a little bit more senior than I am, but we grew up in the same area. And we have a lot in common. I love him and his family and all the guys in the Mafia. It's really helped my business grow. I went to training with him a few years ago, and I basically, first thing I told Rennie was, I want to get rid of all my bad habits. I need to be better at my time. And since training, my business has just flourished, and my confidence has just grown. So I have to give a shout out to Rennie.
Yeah, I just saw Rennie and hung out with him at the Benedict Castle car show a couple weeks ago, and man, that
I wanted to go.
Yeah, that guy's awesome.
I was busy working. I couldn't get away from work that day, but I went to the last year's. Nicole did a great job.
Yeah, it was a good
the
show.
Previous year, and it's a great show. So yeah, hopefully I'll be out there next year. I'll plan a little bit better. Actually, being so busy, I'm booking appointments out, a few weeks or a month in advance, and I just realized, oh man, I got a car show on Saturday and an appointment. I got to take care of my customers.
Yep,
so.
I hear you, man. It's tough. So, all right, man. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jimbo. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com for full show notes, blog posts, updates, and sign up to our newsletter to receive the latest and greatest all things auto detailing podcast. And don't forget, if you're thinking about starting your own mobile auto detailing business, we've set up an online training course so you can bulletproof your startup at mobileautodetailingacademy.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.